I'm CK. Today we've got a user request from a viewer who goes by xGimpler. I hope I'm saying that right. He wanted me to take a look at the Bakon BK881 solder and desolder station. This is a little more expensive than some of the other ones I've looked at. This cost about $70 US on Amazon. I'll post a product link, of course, in the description. So let's unpack it, take it out, and put it to work. And we'll see how it goes. And I hope you enjoy the video. Here's the box. Bakon, professional manufacturer and researcher of electronic tools. That's cool. This is efficiency solder and rework station, the 881, ESD safe, lead free, 110 60 Hertz, package size, quantity, and all the standard labeling one would expect. Shenzhen Bakon Electronics Technology Group Limited in Shenzhen, China. And nothing more to say about that. I've got some surface mount stuff, I've got some through-hole stuff that we'll see what's up with. But first, let's open the box. We've got pamphlet. Oh, look at that. Some foam packing. We've got, what is this? Oh, it's got a thing of flux. Well, that's pretty good. I like to have more things of flux. We've got some solder. I don't know whether it's lead-free or not because I'm in the US. I don't use lead-free a lot. We've got a manual solder sucker. We've got the solder iron. Unwrap this little twist tie. That feels pretty comfortable. It's thin, relatively easy to hold. Here we have the heat blaster. So this is not a vacuum integrated pump. Here we've got one holding device that I'll probably have to put on. Here are a couple of air directional tips to focus your airflow. Little soldering iron rest. Seems pretty good. I can't use this with my Weller because it's the wrong diameter, but doesn't matter. Oh, some flush cutting pliers. Good, they threw that in as a lanyard. And we've got some more soldering tips, 5 of them. This is a pretty complete kit. This is pretty neat. And we've got some ESD safe tweezers. Pull the base station itself out. And I'm going to move the box away. We'll get that ready for recycling. And this looks, well, quite frankly, it looks pretty similar to the Weller base station I use. And as you'll notice, the air gun is not on a quick release socket. It's bolted on there. So that's interesting. And let me, this twist tie is one of those which way did they twist it twist ties. Here's the power cord, which I'll use here in a little bit. And here is the connector for the iron itself, and as you can probably see, it is metal. And it's not a screw-on, it's a find the indents and latch on. If I can find the indents and latch it on, where is it? There's the notch. Had to find the notch. I thought that was the notch. There's a notch, but there we go. That locked it in somewhat. Now I got to keep turning it to engage that locking pin, which I'm not having a good time doing right now. There we go. It didn't seem to snug it up, it just keeps it from pulling out, I think. Doesn't seem to pop there. That comes back out. Do it again. So the locking sleeve doesn't stop, it just prevents it from pulling out, which is fine with me. Let's plug the power in the back. And this is standard stuff. Doesn't give the total wattage, but I'm okay with that. I'm not going to pull the plastic film off the surface yet. I don't want to. But I am going to go, I have to crawl under the workbench to plug this in, so I'm going to turn the cameras off. I'm probably going to reposition this camera a little bit too, so I'll be, no I won't. Yes I will. So I'll be back in a tick. So we're plugged in and reconfigured. Let me move my light around a little bit so I can reach it better. Now I'm gonna, as you can see or may be able to note, there's two screws there, which I assume is to mount this bracket to hold the air gun, because there should be a magnet here. In my experience, that's the way they do it. They'll have a little magnet there to start heating it up when it senses that it's in its rest, and if it's not in its rest, it's not going to heat up. So we'll want to mount this. Now as you can see, I have to take the screws all the way out. It's not slots. I would have preferred slots. Let's get this back. Get one screw started a little bit. And then we'll get the other screw in there. Yep. Well, one thing that's good about having the magnet there is when the screw falls out, it doesn't go anywhere. I gotta go get something else. Back in a second, but I'll probably cut that little, you'll see a little skip. Let me get this screw in here. Okay, so that's in appropriately, and we'll set that down, because typically there's a micro switch in there that senses that the heater is in its holster, so it is safe to start blowing air through it. I'm going to grab one of these nozzles and slide it over the end. I'm using a very fine nozzle for this particular time. Okay, let's turn the power on. Okay, we've got a soldering button and a rework button. So we'll press the soldering button. Oh, there's a switch on the back. Sorry! There. Switch on the back comes up. And it's all dashes right now. So we'll go solder. Soldering is set to 380 degrees C. They're both on standby. There we go. Now it's heating up. It's heating up very quickly. That's heating up very quickly. And it went straight to it. Let's see. Oh, that's a strange chisel bit. I didn't even notice what was on there. Solder comes off pretty well. So the soldering iron will be fine. Let's pretend we're soldering with it. Again, I wouldn't typically use this tip, but I didn't know what was on there. So yeah, it's a good little soldering iron, and again, I'm pretty happy with the diameter. It's pretty light. Now let's see if we can take the heat down. Yeah, adjusting the heat down works very well. We've got 3 buttons, channel 1, channel 2. Oh, okay, so we can set up 3 different temperatures. I'm going up to 450 C right now, which is a lot. There's 400 C, and it's just got to cool off. That'll go down there. There, that's fine. That works very nicely. Now I'm going to switch over to the rework side. So the soldering iron works very well. I'm very competent. But now I want to... Now, okay. As you heard, as soon as I turned that on, the rework station came up. Even though I'm not seeing... You can change it. We can go up to higher. And then here, you can see that's flow rate. So I'm going to take the flow rate up. Oh, it's got just positions, 0 to 17. I like to go high flow when I'm desoldering. So the soldering tip is always going to show, and the rework temperature is right here. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the, oops, I'm sorry, my nozzle came off. Guess I didn't screw it down enough. I'm not worried about hurting myself right now because typically when it goes back in rest, it blows cold air through to snug this way down because that airflow at 17 seems to blow a lot of air through. There we go. Okay. Now it's heating up again. Let me move some stuff in. I'll do something from this old Bose soundbar. Let me use the tweezers they included, and we'll take this capacitor off. I'm not getting much heat yet. I'm actually going to take the temperature up to 300 C. I've taken stuff off this board before, so I know the solder is not too crazy. Let me go over here on this through hole one first and see if I'm okay. That's melting. So let me get a pair of, or a screwdriver, and put that in there. Aim it at that. Actually, why don't I get the little solder sucker they use? Well, the rosin is bubbling, but I'm not getting... I'm not getting the solder melt I expect. I'm not sure it's getting quite hot enough for me. Okay, I'll be back in just a minute here. I grabbed my fluke, put the thermocouple on it. I'm going to see what the thermocouple reads. So right on the end here, so like 350, I mean 250, 210, which is lower than I expected. I mean, this is going right down the spout here. And the thermocouple is like up to 10 degrees plus or minus, I think, maybe 20. Okay, so that's at 300. So that is where I want it to be. I just don't know why I'm not able to melt this solder. And as you know, I've done quite a few of these. I'm going to take the flow rate down just to see if I'm going to take it down to about 12. I mean, I will admit there's a huge ground plane on this device, this circuit board, but I'm not even seeing the solder trying to melt. Let's see if there's any place else I want to try. Let's try this resistor right here. Now I'm trying this cap. Okay, we're gonna go crazy up. Oops. Crazy up on the temperature. 350. Which is the same as what I'd solder it with. Oh. Okay, hold on a sec again. I'm going to go get another surface mount board. This is from an old PlayStation controller. Ow. It is hot. Let me see, where's a good one to grab? Okay, I got that one off. I just had to go in really close. Let's try this one. There, I got that one off too. Okay, so it does work just fine. You just have to get really close. I also have to admit, I'm out in my workshop with the big rolling door up, and it's about 17 degrees C outside. But there we go. I pulled another resistor off. It works fine. So we'll put it back in there, and I'm going to see roughly how long it takes to cool back off. And that was at flow rate 12. At 17 it wasn't giving me what I was hoping, so you have to adjust that. So that's still hot, too hot to touch. Oh, one other thing I wanted to do. Oh, I'm going to check the other thing I like to do, which, again, there's been one person who complained about this. I like to run my soldering iron, the soldering iron, against the power cable to see whether it's high temperature silicon or not. And this is not. This is rubber and will melt. And that's on both. And somebody said, why do you even do that? You shouldn't do that. Well, again, over 55 years of soldering, I've laid my soldering iron on my power cord at least 3 times. I know that's not a lot, but even once would be bad. So you have to be careful with this one and always keep your iron in the holster, because these cables are not high temperature silicon like some of the other ones I've tried out, and my Weller, where I can just leave the soldering iron on those cables and nothing ever happens. But for 71 bucks, this is pretty good. I really like the soldering iron itself, and the hot air gun, it cooled down. As you notice, the fan just went off, so it cooled down pretty well. I did have to fiddle with it to get it right, but it does actually work. It's not the fault of the device, it was just me getting used to it. And for 71 bucks, you also get some solder, which is probably junk, but getting a can of rosin for surface mount work and a little solder sucker, 5 extra tips, and a flush cutter pliers is very worthwhile. Oh yeah, and the tweezers. So I think it's worth your money. And it's compact and reasonably attractive and feels good. I should have said something about that. The feel is solid and dense. And again, I like the diameter of this one. I'm not going to give up my Weller, but if I were looking for something brand new, or if I were on a budget, I would definitely take a look at this as a 2-in-1 station. It's very good. And I hope you enjoyed the video.